So why don't I call the meeting to order at 9:35? President Bill McGowan, Lisa McGonigal, Wayne Sawchuk, and Paul Kears. Also from the town, Corey Evans from the Select Board is present, attending as our liaison to the Select Board. So our first order of business is our next meeting, and next one, if we're doing it sequential, will be the 26th of July. Is that good for everybody?
That's good for me.
Good for me. Okay. Okay, next item of business is the Cook Estate. Jane, I know we've got an application. Do you want to just start, Jane? And
Sure. So we've completed our application, and the only thing that's not with it, because you haven't given us a number yet, is how much we owe you as an application fee. So that's in the interim 3 weeks, we went out to bid using the plans that were 99% approved, ready according to you guys, and went to 10 bidders, 10 contractors. One of the big and they were all on except for one on your drain layer list, and the other one was being added, already approved. The one stipulation is they had to be able to do the work and get out of the school property by the 31st of August. So we sent the package to 5 bidders. We got 3 bids back and have made a selection of Rosano Davis. I had to do that in order to complete the application process, because Sean Hardy, our engineer, filled out the portions he could, but there were many portions that had to be actually filled out by the drain layer. So he completed the application yesterday, and we submitted it to you yesterday with the plans, and are hoping we are in a position to get your approval and permit to move forward. Paul is prepared to begin ordering the pieces needed and begin the work as soon as possible to comply with your request of being off school property by the 31st, and having enough time so if he runs into some ledge or other things that are unanticipated, that we're not impacting the school in any way. We are in process with the easement. We got Sharon's piece last night, and it went to our lawyer and Brian Hagee's lawyer. I looked at it this morning. Ellen looked at it. I haven't heard anything from Brian's lawyer as of yesterday. We were trying to coordinate a Zoom so they could look at exactly the plans. I'm going to drop them off a copy with Brian that at a scale that he can actually read them. And then the third piece is the development agreement. So that I know Sharon was working on, and Steve Sullivan is our treasurer and is working on both the development agreement and, from an inside Cook point of view, the financing and the communication to our residents about impact and timing. So that's where we are. What questions do you have of us?
Yeah, so Jane, have you sent us or do we know for a fact what the total EDUs are for the total property?
Yeah, Sean, do you have that number in front of you? Sean Hardy?
What was that question?
How many EDUs?
Which is what?
How many bedrooms?
Bedrooms?
I
think it's 8. I'm sorry, I should have that right in front of my.
I can get it.
Committed to memory, but I don't. I think it's 83. Hold on. The assessor's office did the.
That's right.
Give me a second.
Yeah, it's 83.
83. Yeah.
So we should be able to give you a number tomorrow. I mean, I would think there would be at least to be able to, based on the individual EDU, we can give them a very quick number tomorrow.
It looks like, well, 83, 4 bedrooms equal, 1 EDU, so it's 20 EDUs,
Right.
0.75, 20 and 3/4.
So
Okay.
just make it 21 is what you'd end up probably, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what's that number?
20.75, so we was saying 21
yep,
EDUs.
Times what number?
37,500.
So you need 21 times 37,500 to complete the application?
No,
Okay,
I-
So help me
no,
out.
I'm
no, I
sorry.
think a connection we would, but not right,
Yeah, that's the connection fee. Right, Jane was just talking about the actual application fee.
yeah,
no.
I mean,
So would that be, I would imagine it would be either 2,700 or 2,000 times 27, because there's 27 homes connecting. Is that correct?
One application fee. Right.
what?
One application fee, not,
Yeah, it's one application fee for that many bedrooms. That's why we're doing it this way.
Right,
and that should represent probably any expenses that we had, but I don't know. But it certainly is not a larger numbers. Right.
So give me, okay.
I'm thinking
A
that
typical, I'm sorry.
$3,000, what I was thinking.
I'm sorry?
$2,000 or $3,000, but I
Great.
don't, I want the board to sort of,
Great. That's good. That's what I was hoping you were going to say, not 21 times 37.5. So,
I
yeah. So I think, I mean, we can, what I'm hoping is, as I said earlier, that, because I don't want to sign a contract for Rosano Davis until you guys give me a permit. That strikes me as not good fiduciaries. But at this stage, unless we get, I'm not trying to put undue pressure, but we need to begin to order the stuff if we're ever going to meet the town's deadline of being out of the school property by the 31st. So I'm hopeful that you guys can see clear. I mean, we can, if you tell me it's $3,000, we can put in the process and get you a check, within a few business days. But as
Right
fast
on-
as you need it.
yeah, so right on the application, I mean, not that I filled out one of these in a long time, but it just basically says for each gravity connection is $1,000.
Yeah.
So we're having one connection, I believe, right?
Yep.
However, it has been updated recently, so, last year. So going out to the street was 2,700 per application fee for each house that was going out to the street.
But we're not going to the street.
no, but it's, the intent there is individual properties. This is one piece of real estate. And it has one connection. So
We're looking at Cook as one application and one primary hookup.
Which would be then $2,700.
right.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
All right.
so we get a check for $2,700, you're done.
Great.
We will do that.
So we should
then
deliver.
We can have Dan prioritize his workload to make sure that the Cook plans are on the top of the list there, so we can get these approved very quickly, so you can order what you need to order.
Well, approved by. So, so Dan approves Dan's had the application. I mean, I can drop off a check for $2,700 today to Lisa. I could do it while we're still on the phone, if that would facilitate us getting a movement forward to get a permit so we can get started.
Yeah, the money doesn't get us started, the money is just part of the process, so what
I
we need to do is, so Dan has to review the plans, and if they're fine the way they are, he approves them, we vote on it, and you move forward with what you need to do.
Okay, can I just be, I'm not trying to be really difficult here. Dan has had the plans for 3 weeks. And the application went in yesterday because I had to have a drain layer in order to complete the application. So I'm just trying to understand, we can't afford to wait 2 weeks to get Paul Davis started. If we're gonna meet the town's deadline of being out of the school by the 31st. Because we can't risk, I've already ordered parts, 2 grinder pumps for $20,000 that are part of the plan because they were on back order. And so you guys do what you need to do, but I don't want to be here 2 weeks from now at your next meeting running into the same question.
Paul? I've actually, Jane's pretty much right. I mean, we've had those plans back and forth. I've been going back and forth with Sean, getting revisions. We've also had, some input too from the town engineer, Brian Joyce as well, into the plan sets. So, I mean, they've been revised several times. So they're pretty much at the point now where they could be accepted. There may be some field modifications we have to do afterwards if something's encountered. The septic system is kind of questionable where the edge is. There may be a couple of trees that, may be removed or need to be removed, or we may encounter something at the school. But generally, the plans are in a format now where they could be accepted. And, in terms of a final approval, I could give you something today, but I mean, if the board wanted to vote on it at this point in time, I don't feel there's any, significant liability here.
Yeah, I think we just remove the word could and just say, okay, if you're, in your opinion, Dan, these are buildable and an accepted set of plans with, unforeseen circumstances as the only issue that we have to see. I mean, something
Right.
in the ground. I would make a motion to approve these plans as mentioned by Dan.
Second that emotion.
All right, so why don't we do a roll call vote? Bill McGowan, aye.
Wayne Sawchuck,
Paul
aye.
Kearsey, aye. Paul
Okay.
Kearsey.
Okay,
Okay, so you can order this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Lisa, I'll send you something official, and then as soon as it's the fees paid, you should be all set to go.
Okay.
We'll get that payment. Can I just ask a quick question back to the calc we were doing before on the EDUs and the cost? So just so I start to build it out and understand for our homeowners, what is the charge per bedroom? Or how do you break it down? Is that the charge per bedroom? Just so we know what we're dealing with and meet with the association, we give them the understanding of what it's going to cost.
I can answer that. And basically, one EDU is an equivalent dwelling unit, which represents a 4-bedroom building. And so if your units were all 4-bedroom, you'd have 27 EDUs. Because there are some buildings that have just 2 bedrooms, then it's a half of EDU. And you have a situation, I think one of the buildings has 5, so they've got one more. Now, when I don't know how you're going to do your calculations, but the number that's going to come out is going to be a certain percentage less than the 27 units times the 37,000. So I think one of your, the person with 5, that just use the same math. They be assessed for 5 bedrooms. Okay, so that would be 1 1/4 EDUs.
Yep.
And if someone has 2 bedroom, that's what it'd be done. That to me looks like the fairest way of doing it because
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
it's more value than the
Yeah,
other.
right. We as we bill it out to the homeowners, we based on the number of units, number of bedrooms that they have. The 37.5 was in that one EDU is a 4-bedroom. Okay.
And on the application, the website, there's a cost for 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms.
Right.
37.5 being the 4-bedroom.
3,275 per bedroom, basically.
Great. So the total amount is about $475,000 for us. And that's what the development agreement, I think, is going to encompass. Great. Any, can we move to thank you for that vote of support. I'm sorry to be difficult. It's just you know, we're trying to comply with lots of things. Shrin, have you heard anything back from the Haggis lawyer on your copy of the easement sent last night?
Well, you know, I sent it last night, so I don't expect to hear back.
Okay,
Uh,
great.
Like as soon
Yep.
as they do, I will, and the development agreement on my end is ready, is almost, I'm gonna send that to the board today for review, so. Once the board has reviewed it, then we'll ship it over to your attorneys.
Great. And Steve Sullivan is the key contact. I think we've made that connection because he's our treasurer. Okay, but that looks like it's moving ahead as well, Sharon,
Which one?
the development agreement. Yeah.
As I said, I'm gonna finalize the finishing touches this morning, send it over to the board. Once they've had a chance to review, then it will come to you. And
Great.
One question I have, and maybe we just slipped by it, was, is there a charge for the amount of the EDU for that house that is being connected at your expense? Or, you know, so I
Yeah,
don't know if that's part
there
of
will be. The way I was looking at it is, and I put it in the hands of Brian Heggie and his attorney. I believe you had asked me last time, or said they have to do their own application. They're in the process of doing that now. It's in their hands. And I think Brian had a significant death in the family in the last 10 days, so it sort of caused them not to look at it, which understandably. So that will be an application that will come into Lisa. I've connected Lisa and the attorney and Brian together and sent the copy of that, but that will come in. And that cost will be, that's what we're paying for the easement, is their cost of their connection.
So that'll be the 2,700 for the application fee, for their application fee, as well as if they have a 4-bedroom, the 37.5.
It's a 3-bedroom, so it's a
Okay.
3-bedroom home on your accessory books, and that's what it is. So that is in. So would one check from us or two? Two checks, each for 27.5.
Yeah, and just put in the notes there what property for the abutter,
Great.
so that we could just track it separately.
Good. It's the same set of engineering drawings that go
That's
with
fine. Yep.
the application. And maybe I see Paul on. Maybe Paul, I can put the detail of that application in your hands to fill out the drain layer part. And that's I think it's 206 Sawyer is their address, Brian and Ava Heggie. So I'll connect you in that.
Terrific.
Great.
Thank you.
Anything else on Cook?
I don't think so. Anything else? Anybody? Okay.
Thank you guys very, very much. We appreciate it.
Okay.
And I'm sure we'll be back to see you soon.
Take your time.
Awesome.
Yeah,
All
okay.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Yep.
So our next order of business is voting to accept sewer line location change on CJC. And when I got this, I had a question immediately from it is, if this is a Mass DOT regulation, why do we have to have a formal vote on it?
We're in charge of approving final plans for this property, even though DET is calling the regulations.
Okay. I
What,
mean, it's like we almost didn't have a choice. I mean, they just did it, right? I mean, that's,
Right, that's correct.
all right. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the movement of the sewer line as indicated on drawings that I know we've received. There, a second.
Paul Kier, second.
Do a roll call. Bill McGowan, aye.
Wayne Sawchuck, aye.
Paul Kier, aye.
Okay. So sewer rules and regulations.
Yeah, Dan had mentioned that they had to be updated because they haven't been updated in a long time, and we had several discussions about, getting them updated because during the CJC process, he mentioned that there were a couple of things that he wanted added to whatever they were doing, that it was part of the rules and regulations, but we haven't updated them. So Dan said it would take about 40 hours at that time to go through them all and complete them so that we could make sure that we can get something here updated, because Cook's going to have to comply to them, as well as the hotel / harbor project that's going on. And of course, the next project after that is going to be 1 Pleasant Street. So Dan has strongly suggested several times that we update the rules and regulations. So I don't know where he stands on that.
Yeah, just to give you an update, these, the rules and regs, and Wayne's a little bit familiar with it because we've actually spent some time in previous years to go over several of the aspects that were changing in the rules and regs. But basically, it was almost like a full rewrite in some degree. I mean, it's not. I think Lisa had said, "Can you send us a red line?" But it's not really a red line; it's a rewrite. There were a lot of things that were just not that functional in the original regs, and we've updated those to be a little bit more consistent with current trends. We've added fog regulations, which is fats, oils, and grease. We've updated a little bit on the MPDS, the new MPDS regarding PFAS, because there may be some regulations coming out on that. We've revamped the construction standards very extensively. We have standard details now. We've expanded that for the low pressure sewer system. So the 2000 regs really didn't account for that very well. We've also added the testing criteria and general specifications for those, and basically added several other appendixes. One of the aspects that goes along with that too is the district map. And I had sent you something a couple of weeks back. We're updating the district map to include the abutting property to Cook Estates, as well as CJC. So there'll be a new district map that we have for the town, which will be part of the regulations. And that will show the additions, and I'm labeling those basically 2022 additions. But they're not 100% at this point in time. We still got to do one more big review and assembly. The only part that I see that is a little bit weak is town forms and applications and policy statements. And, I've obviously collected a ton of them over the years. I'm not sure how many of them are still valid. We just mentioned that the application currently shows $1,000 per connection, but really it's $2,700. Some of those need to be updated. I mean, those are things that can be updated over time, but typically in the rules and regs, you do establish an appendix with standard forms. So the only thing I ask is maybe Lisa can go through those and just see what she's currently has or works with, and maybe send me a copy, latest and greatest copy of those. And we'll add those plus some of the other policy statements I've collected over time as part of that appendix. We're I'd say about 85% through. I just really, at this point in time, I want to give it one more last review, and then I'll be able to distribute to everybody.
Dan, have you given us a quotation on this, like estimated time and money on this?
I did.
It was 40. Yeah, he told us 40 hours.
Okay.
I don't know if he needs to go over the 40 hours or not.
It doesn't seem to at this point in time. Spent a little
Okay.
bit more time on the details, the CAD details for the construction standards, but it took less time on some of the other things. So we're still pretty much on track.
Lisa, do we have a list of forms that we use for the sewer department in general, or do we just kind of know what we need to know?
Basically, what all I've been using is the sewer application and the and policy that was updated, I think, right when I first started. That policy was updated with the connection fees.
Mhm.
the new village
Do you
fees.
Sorry, do you maintain a fee schedule too? Like a published fee schedule for people? I know.
Fee
Well, yeah,
schedule
there,
for
there should
what?
be, there was one on the website where we
Yeah, I was
said,
gonna
you know,
say,
what
there's one on the
yeah,
website, yeah.
so, it's a couple of, in fact, there's a lot of things on the website under the sewer
Right.
department. But I'm sure we have to look at those and update that stuff as well. No, my concern is twofold. One is, to Dan's point is, you know, what's in the appendix of our rules and regulations, if people are going to read those and they're going to find out what forms they need to fill out. And two is, with the transitioning of Lisa to a different department, it'd be nice to have this, I don't know, kind of library of what forms we have and when they're used and who do they go to next. You know, we've got, you know, abatement forms, I'm sure that we have people that fill out, and any other forms that are within the town hall from department to department, who signs off on what. I don't know. I just want to make sure that we capture, you know, some of those links as well.
I agree.
There may be an opportunity to streamline them as well, you know, if we find out the process is a little too cumbersome.
Okay, I'll work on writing down the procedure that I follow.
Okay.
and Process and drain layers too. I'm assuming that the drain layer is saying that you have to have an approved one is in the rules and regulations. And
Yeah, that's part of it as well. There's a
so
granulator.
that's also that also has forms attached to it.
Yeah.
If you could just send me a copy of the latest and greatest, just so I can confirm what I have, that'd be great.
Of what, drain layer application?
Basically, all the forms that you use.
Okay,
Are these any of these currently on our website? Or
they
will it-
should be.
Yeah, there are forms on them.
Yeah, I've been updating them yearly, annually.
Yeah, there's you know, abatements has got, you know, three things to click on: application, drain layers, got drain layers, licensed drain layers, and a bond, but there's no application there. Couple policies are there. Grinder pump stuff is still there, but wastewater treatment plant stuff is there, and then sewer white papers are there. So there isn't a whole lot that pertains to, and there may not need to be. You know, there's the abatement request form that's there, and then the sewer application that's there. I don't see, you know, anything else, any other types of forms.
Drain layer forms should be on there.
You have drain layers bond from Cohasset. That's a form that you fill out. That's for a bond though, right?
I think it might be the whole thing, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look at it because I did
Okay,
combine a lot. I did combine, add, like, I think I added the REAP form, which is,
okay.
the REAP form is the IRS form.
So there's only 2 pages to this form, and it's just a bond.
Okay.
Yep.
Here's the other thing that we found, that we discovered, that I have to investigate too, is that if somebody just goes on our website and does a search on, say, sewer application, they may get one from 2017.
Yeah,
They won't get the updated one, which is really weird, but that's something I have to look into.
Yeah, some of those
so-
original applications are really dated. They're, you know, more sorted for a Little Harbor than anything else. So
Say that again.
well, there are,
Neil?
some of the applications, for instance, the pressure sewer application was kind of set up for Little Harbor. So it's very specific on that. You know, there are a lot of different things that, you know, we could recommend, basically, so just changes in some of the forms. But I'm not sure how many of these you actually have as Word docs, Lisa.
Mhm.
And my concern is you know, ideally, we don't want to have to recreate those. So if you do have them as Word docs, that's probably a good format to preserve them.
Yep. So So you're saying the current application the current sewer connection application is basically from the Little Harbor project, and that should be updated. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there was a low pressure sewer application package that I think is still on the website. That, you know, was left over from Little Harbor. It can still be used, but it is a bit dated.
Right,
mean,
but
I
the
did-
one that we're using, is that the one?
The one that we were just referencing, that's at $1,000 per service. And it
Have
was
it up
supposed
right
to
now.
be 700, whatever. That's even older. It's pretty generic. I think that one was a little bit from started before Little Harbor, but carried through.
Mhm.
It does have some sections at the end that were added. It's
Yeah,
kind of a
the current forms is gravity connection is 1,000, pressure connection 1,700.
Yeah.
And a disconnection is 500.
Right, and then there should be other line items under there. So if you're going out to the street, it's an additional 1,000.
There's 1,000, right?
So is that, Dan, is that one adequate, or is that the one that we need to?
No, that one's probably fine. It's because it's a hybrid. It's been revised a couple of times. I think you probably have that one as a Word doc. And you've been using that. So that one's probably fine, or something we could use moving forward for everything.
And that's what we've been using, but I don't, we are referring to something else that you found on the website, or is that the issue that I'm talking about where?
The last time I looked, there was another one on the website too.
Yeah, because there shouldn't be. So I'll look into it.
Yeah, there's one under application, which is the sewer connection one that we're using now. What there is under policies, there's commercial and residential policy that was dated in 2000. And that has the fees for the EDUs for 4-bedroom, 3, 2, and 1 spelled out. And it says it was approved in 2014. Amended 2015, amended 2017, and then amended in 2020. So other than that, I don't see anything else there. So it's a good opportunity to kind of go through these, and we probably should assign some sort of form number and revision to it or something, or date in a footer, so we know what we did and when we did it. So we
Yeah,
know
we
it's
should certainly put a date on it.
currently. Yeah, the sewer connection policy has a footer where it was approved 14, 15, 17, and then 20. So we know that's the current one. So we probably should do that on all the other documents that we have.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Anything else on this?
So Dan, do you think by next meeting, the 26th that we're going to have, is something that you'll have where you just get out the Word doc to us and we just have time to read it over the next 2 weeks to see if anything jumps out at us? Or
I should be able to.
okay.
Yep.
And do you
Probably.
think that, is there anything in here that's going to surprise CJC project, or do you think everything falls within there so far?
Well, I mean, obviously we had a bunch of disagreements as far as what's in there, what's not in there.
Yeah.
The new regulations are inclusive of a lot of the information that we had been discussing with them. You know,
Okay.
pressure testing regulations, that type of thing, standards for different, pipe, manholes, that type of thing.
Grease
So-
trap regulations and all that, and
Exactly.
water, your
fog-
manhole, watertight seal, all that stuff is in there.
Correct.
So if we publish this, they would have been in compliance anyway. Because you've been holding them in compliance with the new regulations to be all along anyway.
Yes, generally.
Okay,
I have.
yeah, okay, okay.
I mean, we have some issues regarding watertight manholes, but I mean, we're letting that kind of slide a little because Mass Highway.
Yeah.
Concerned about gasketing on the top covers. There are alternatives that, we've actually used, but, with inside covers, but we just let it slide for this one.
Okay.
I think, based upon some of Brian's input as far as accessibility, but otherwise it's, they have at least verbally said they would be testing the pipes in accordance with the standard criteria,
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I mean, if we approve and publish this, let's say in August, I would assume that we've already applied these rules to them to begin with. So I would assume that we would have to get them a fresh copy and say, listen, we know the project's ongoing, but you've already conformed to a majority of what's in here, but here's an updated
yeah,
rules and
generally
regulations. Yeah,
when you approve an application though, it's at the time of the rules and regulations existing.
it is. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Really doesn't make that much difference.
Okay.
Just for information, we did have a sit down with Stasco's engineers and stuff like that. And there were several areas where the interpretation of our current rules and regulations were in question. And I think we did a good job of having them understand what different things meant. And they agreed to, follow along with that. So Dan may very well tweak those things so that it doesn't come up again. No
That's great.
disagreement. So
Awesome.
Okay, anything else on this? No? Shall we go on to 87 Elm Street?
Yes, so we have 87 Elm. We have Deborah Keller and Ted Lubitz.
Do you guys want to take over? Tell us what you want to do.
Yeah, so thanks for having us this morning. This is a continuation of discussions going back, I think, probably since February-ish, about the relocation of the sewer main at 87 Elm. We've submitted plans that have been reviewed by Dan, and we've received that feedback. I know Deb is in the process of updating the plans with those comments. We don't have an objection to any of them. So those will be incorporated. And then we also submitted a draft easement in accordance with our last discussion for your collective review. So from our perspective, I believe we've delivered everything that was asked of us. You'll note today, actually, it's a big day for us. We've completed our demolition. So the demolition contractor is no longer at the site. They finished their work yesterday, and they have a few remaining items to pick up today. And then our plan is to have site work begin in the week of July 25th. So coming up very soon, as well as foundations during that same time frame, following about a month after the site work commences. So we're hoping to receive your feedback and ultimate vote on the information that we have provided. Again, we didn't have any issues with the comments, and those will be, if they haven't already been incorporated into the plan.
Dan, do you have anything? I mean, are the plans ready to go, or any comments on that?
I have not seen revised plans yet, so.
This is Deb Keller. I've just hopped on board on this project, so I do have the review comments and working on some of the plan changes. As Ted mentioned, I don't believe there's anything in here that is of question. So we're hoping that we can get a revised plan back into Dan for a final sign off.
Have these gone to Brian Joyce as well? Have you copied him as the town engineer?
He's been copied on all correspondence.
Okay.
He was included in the prior meetings and gave feedback with Dan, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the only issue we really had was access to the property based on the easements. We thought you were going to get an easement from the property, I guess, to the left as you're looking at it, as opposed to the one that's already there that goes out to Elm.
So I think what we agreed to do is, you know, provide an easement through our property, and that's what's reflected on the plan. So
Okay.
there's access easement, that's been, you know, we've drafted that easement and also depicted it on a plan. They're showing that right now there isn't an easement to come over our property to access that back area. So as part of this, we would grant the town an easement to be able to access that area.
And that was the easement through the building with the
Yes.
restriction of the garage door height.
Correct. And that's all incorporated in what we sent over right before July 4th.
So it's not an open air easement. Well, it's through the building.
Yeah, because Brian had walked the property from Elm over and said they wouldn't be able to access from coming behind. So it was either get an easement from the neighbor to the left of you, or we go through the garage. So I guess we're going through the garage.
Yeah,
The only
but
other
there's some
answer-
discussion about whether or not we could get like a camera truck or whatever through that.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to, but you may be able to get a portable trailer or something like that through there that might facilitate. One aspect that was kind of up in the air and I never heard back on was the drainage for the parking garage, oil water separator.
Yep, those have been removed. That was a good catch, and I might ask that somebody in the town also follow up with Weston Sampson, who's doing the peer review of these projects. So that was a good catch, Dan, but we have made that modification.
Yeah, we asked you to also take a look at the your other property as well for that same issue.
Yep, and we
And
addressed
I-
that.
Okay, yeah, because I think Brian Joyce said there was something already there existing that catches. So maybe he can give us some clarification on it when we bring it up next.
Well, the Elm Street catch basins, I think, probably go right through the site. Or right off.
He thought there was one under the hotel. So
Yeah.
it may
That's
be
what I
right. That
heard.
one, yeah, but 87 Elm didn't have one at all. So we just wanted to make sure there was something on both properties.
So I see 3 locations, one on 87 Elm that will have to be addressed for the garage, and then 2 locations on 124 that we will look into, which are garage access points, where originally the oil water separator was tied into the sewer. So those would be the 3 locations that we'll be looking at to putting in industrial holding tanks rather than tying into the sewer.
And you can double check with Brian Joyce on the hotel site. He thought there was something already there. So
You there? Sure.
yeah.
I see Brian on the call. I wonder if we just can't hear.
Is he on as a panelist or an attendee?
I don't know. I don't see him, but
So it's a phone call in.
Okay.
It's the phone number 603 ended in 6031.
so Dan, you just need a new set of plans and then we can move forward with this. Is that what we're hearing?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen anything with the easement on it or, the deletion of the oil water separator. So I mean, we really need to get a set of plans to review first. I can't tell you at what stage we're at this point in time until I see the plans.
So for some reason, Brian can't unmute, so he'll get back by email later on.
Okay.
So Dan, I believe you were copied on I think it was like July 1st email correspondence that showed that easement in plan. So I think you have that, and then I know Deb we'll be updating for the oil water separator and to just probably include your comments on the plan.
Yeah, I don't see anything from July 1st.
Let me just see when I sent this.
Can you just send that to me again? That'd be great.
Yes, I absolutely will. Or yes, I'm sorry, it was June 30th, but I'll re-forward it right now. Would it be possible to get a conditional approval pending the final sign off on that plan?
I don't know, Dan, how far are we away from, I mean, for the plans you've looked at, I mean, is there? I'm trying to think of how to phrase this.
Yeah,
So you're looking at approval for final plans for 87 Elm? Ed,
And,
is that what you're looking?
and the relocation of the easement, just consistent with that plan.
So if you have a final draft with all these changes in it that you sent Dan in June, at the end of June,
So I want to be clear that the actual plan doesn't capture those changes. The easement that we drafted, the actual easement document and then the easement plan show that easement where it would be, which again has been consistent with the conversations to date. And then there's a list that Dan and I believe Brian and Wayne worked on that they sent for a list of conditions of changes they wanted to see done to the plan. And though that's what Deb is updating right now. And we've got no issues with those.
And we probably want our attorney to look at the easement before we do anything. I mean, I suspect there's been nothing. I just think we need her to, bless it and say, okay, everything's fine. So.
Okay.
And Lisa, she left, right? Sharon? Yeah, she's not on the list.
No.
Yeah, I think she signed off.
Okay. Well,
And
we
we
should,
do have the emails though, that was sent on June 30th.
yeah, can we send all that to her? Seeing that,
Sure.
Greg might have gotten him. He's no longer with us, so.
Sure, I'll forward it right now.
Okay. There are no fundamental changes to the easement with regards from the 30th of June to now, right?
Nothing has changed. No.
so when do you think you'll have final draft sewer plans for us? If everything is completed?
I'm hoping to have a final set of plans updated by the end of next week.
Okay. Because at that point, if the plans are approved, then it would be a matter of you submitting a sewer application with the approved plans.
What would that application be for, just so I'm clear?
Or we really don't need one, do we? I mean, they're using the existing connections.
Not on 87, well,
Is there a bathroom? Is
So-
there any kind of bathroom facility on 87?
Yes, we've had a lot of bathrooms there. So then that all was connected to sewer.
yeah,
So, I mean-
Lisa should probably just take a look at 87 versus the hotel.
Well, I think you want to just look at both because you might have
Yeah.
credit in a hotel that could be used for 87.
Mm-hmm.
87 was, a series of apartments.
Yeah.
Really pretty, grandfathered in, but the apartments might have only been 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom at the most. So there might only have been, 1 EDU or so ever at that. I don't know how many units are going to be on 87, whether it's 10 or 12 or whatever. Ted, how many units are on that side of the street?
So there are 10 over there and 13 across the way. And we, we've looked at this in its entirety and there's a less bedroom count in total
Mhm.
than what was pre-existing.
So it's just that it was technically, well, actually technically it was owned by the same property also, same owners, so you had a use there, so I think you're gonna be pretty good on the EDUs.
Yeah, and
just for
I,
the record-
I seem to remember way back, like a year ago, that we talked about this, like how many EDUs were in the hotel and how many were gonna be part of the existing, and I think the hotel had enough. And I think that was, if I remember correctly, that we just needed something like an application fee, but there wouldn't be anything in it because you've already got enough EDUs, so there's no money to be exchanged, something like that.
That was our understanding as well. You know, if you,
My concern isn't the money. My concern is documenting the
Right.
change in use of the property, because we just went through the scrap with property over there on where was, the Tedeschi property, which was documented, wasn't documented, nobody could remember anything. The property was divided up, a house was put up. So I just want to make sure that there's a change in use of both sites, that even if we fill out an application and there's no fee, at least it's documented through whatever process we have the ability to document it, so that we can say that,
Yeah.
this date, we now have 10 units on 87 Elm. They were credited on the sewer, and then we have 13 units on 123, because if we don't document it, there's going to be questions for somebody 20 years from now.
I absolutely agree. I mean, Ted, you should put together basically an EDU list type of thing. You
okay,
know, showing what was existing and what you have now, and make that part of the application.
okay.
Yeah, and if we owe you a credit, you never know. So I just want to make sure that we capture it, because there's been a lot of changes in land use in the town that somehow don't get documented, and
Yeah.
People
No,
find
Good point.
Understood, and
Yeah.
we don't want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
create issues for other people in the future. So we'll go through that process.
Yeah.
So if we can deliver the plan by next, end of next week, you have the easement plan with, which hopefully your attorney can review. Is it possible that maybe we can have a vote at the next meeting? I heard you say, end of July.
Yeah, we have
26th
a
is
meeting
our
on the
next meeting.
26th, so,
But
yeah.
we can set up a separate one for this if you wanted to, just to make,
Okay,
yeah, I mean, as long as the attorney and Dan say everything's A-okay, at the latest, we could do it on the 26th.
okay. And then just so I'm clear too, that application and the process for what we just discussed, is that something that should be submitted prior to us relocating the line, or is that something?
Yes, it should. And it's on the website, so you can get that right off of that.
Okay, perfect. We'll do that. And please, in the meantime, if your attorney does have any questions about the easement and what was drafted, please let us know, and our attorney can work directly with Sharon if that's who's going to be doing it.
Okay. Not a problem.
All right. Thank
hey,
you.
I have a real quick question on the hotel. How long has that been basically dormant? Has it been 4 years?
No, essentially we shuttered it at COVID. So it
Okay.
was- yeah, we were operating it and limping along. So it was,
So prior to that, what would you say it was at 20% capacity?
I mean, seasonally, it was all seasonal, and there,
Okay.
it was closed, or for January, that type of thing. But
Yeah. Okay.
no, it was higher than 20%.
Okay. I'm just want to mentally gauge the flow rates that are going to be heading our way that we haven't had for the last number of years,
Yeah, absolutely understand.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, that building used a lot more water than you might have imagined, because it was
Yeah.
had no upgrades since 1972. So
Yeah.
sink and toilet
Yeah, 90% of it was probably a leaking pipe.
That happened quite a bit.
Yeah,
You've seen our water bills, I'm sure.
Yeah. That's the only
Okay.
question I really had. Yeah.
All right.
Next.
All right, well, thank you all for the time
Yeah.
today. We'll see
All
you
right.
everything.
Take care.
Hey, Ted, thank you.
Thank you,
Hey,
Ted.
Ted.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think that that's all that's on the agenda, but just to recap, I'll go through the website to make sure that all the forms are updated. And any questions, I'll send you away.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to add to this is that, from the meeting a couple of weeks ago, the select board meeting, that there was basically something brought up, surfaced by the select board to pave South Main Street, which would, from what I understand, would set a 5-year moratorium for us doing anything with that in any regional sewer. And that has brought up a bunch of little things, and I'm hearing through the grapevine that, the sewer board is forcing folks to connect to South Main, that it's going to cost them a ton of money because of the construction. This is all just sort of, I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm sure we'll find out. So just to update the board, there's a lot of this stuff going on, and I don't know why, but maybe it's anti-regional sewer or what. The other piece is that a grant is out there. It hasn't been approved yet. There's some stuff that has to happen that would provide, I believe, the town of Situate and Cohasset with approximately $250,000 or $275,000 for design services attached to the regional sewer. I've asked for more details of that. I haven't got them yet, but as soon as I do, I'll forward them to everyone. I know that Corey was on. I don't know if he still is. I don't know, Corey, if you wanted to add something to that, just because you might have some more recent information. If not, that's okay. I just wanted to apprise the board as to, what I'm hearing on that side.
Yeah, so the 275, and I want to just have a little shout out to Paul here. Paul, your conversation with Joan, months ago on getting funding for this push was effective, and she was able to get money put into the economic recovery bill. Cohasset's also getting money for Elm Street and 40 Parker Avenue. And it's basically as I understand it, the town hall is still going through exactly the process because it's bonded, but it really is it's for the project, and it's pretty loose on how you all want to spend it. I'm glad that, to reference the paving discussion, that was on a meeting of ours, and I think the board is, one of the things that the board is looking to learn is basically what are all the moving pieces, and to kind of understand and it's important that the sewer commission and Bill shared with the select board all the information that was really necessary in that. South Main is, it's part of a process. So that's kind of the message that the people are giving the select board is that, there's a lot of different things happening, which is why the streets are in some areas haven't been paved yet. And if we push ahead paving them, there may be some unintended consequences. So we're having that conversation kind of actively at this time. Does that kind of recap it, Bill?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Corey.
We left off with our meeting with Situate when we were all attended, is that we were waiting on Woodard and Curran to get us some sort of estimate of the scope of the project.
Right. I remember that.
So once we get that from them, hopefully within a week or two here, we would kind of understand what that is. The second step for us to do is we have to identify what is South Main Street to us, because there on the Gulf side, there's about 5 lanes that go down to the Gulf that would probably need to be connected if the decision was made to clean the Gulf. That's why we're putting in the sewer.
Right.
On the right-hand side, going south, there's only 2 lanes that we would need to connect. And then once we understand those areas, then we can count the number of units or dwellings that are there, and kind of understand, you know, what is the potential if 100% of the people hooked up. And then, of course, Wayne had suggested going back behind Ledgewood, if we bring it through one of the lanes on the right-hand side on this Cohasset Situate line, but that would have to go into the railroad tracks. But I think the only connection we had, Wayne, was Beechwood, I think you said. So we'd have to.
I mean, the only place where we have a sleeve underneath
Yeah.
the rail bed. But I think, and the water department's going to have some information on this. They were able to run a water main from Brewster Road through the woods down onto South Main Street to loop that subdivision because of water issues and stuff like that. And so they did that after the railroad was in. So my thinking is they must have used a sleeve, and if there was one sleeve there, the specs to the railroad was to put in a sleeve for the water and a sleeve for the sewer, even if it wasn't sewer. So it would just be interesting to see if we can find out, you know, what, and Dan might have some, we did not get good as-built drawings from the railroad. So they were supposed to put on every single crossing, no matter whether it was for a driveway crossing going over it. But they didn't necessarily do that. And in some cases, for instance, the sleeve for the water main wasn't large enough, so they used but the sewer sleeve was large enough, so they used the water department used the sewer sleeve and left the other one in there, which is probably fine because it would be a pressure main, which would be a lot smaller than a gravity main. So there's some little things that someone has to look at. Secondly, I don't think you'd want to do a project that wouldn't have the idea of, if we want to clean up the harbor, we can't wait if somebody doesn't want to hook up to sewer for 10 years or 20 years or whatever, for them to then tie into a system that we're putting in. The state on Little Harbor forced us to sewer every single house that affected Little Harbor. And I think something like that should be, it should be in it also, because you don't, it would be a real crime to have 10 or 20 years to go by on South Main Street if it is sewered, for people to individually hook it up and do it this and do it that way. So, and with the betterment available, it's only a 1/20th of what it would cost you, to put it in. So there's some issues about that.
I agree with that. I mean, there's, shy of a mandate, I don't know what abilities we have to put some level of requirement on those direct abutters to the Gulf. My concern too is that in speaking with Situate, they scaled back their thought on sewering to South Main to where it would just be that North Situate district area. He said he probably wouldn't go down to Border, and he didn't think connecting to Border and coming around to North Situate would make sense either. So in effect, Cohasset would have sewered probably half or maybe 2/3 of the Gulf, but none of Situate would be sewered on the Gulf side. And if the purpose was to remove pollutants from the Gulf, it's not going to do any good if that whole 1/3 is not connected. So I don't know what Situate's plans are. If he just wants to hook the commercial district there in North Situate, just that square, because it's 10, but we talked about 10,000 gallons a day. So that it's a limit to how many things you can hook up in that area. If he's not going to go down and go around the Gulf to Border, then it's not going to solve that problem.
Yeah, I know that in one of the studies that Woodard and Curran did, and in fact, we checked yesterday to get them back as far as connecting with Situate to get the updated costs and all that sort of thing. So, but that Mordecai Lincoln Road area that goes down over that brook, river, whatever it is, and then there's a pond, and then it goes up. There's several streets that go off of it as you get down to North Situate. There are all sorts of houses in there, and I don't know how many, but if you, I was looking at Google Maps last night, and there's more than 10. And those would get hooked up, and I think they were the district that the Woodard and Curran was proposing for North Situate would go all the way down Gannett to Border Street, so they'd pick up all that stuff.
And they can connect into Border as well to bring it into
Sure.
Cohasset. So,
But you also figure too, we've got people in Situate. I think, what are there, 2 houses in Situate that we take care of
Yeah,
right
we're
now
on
that are on
Border.
Border Street? Yeah,
correct.
so that's got to go underneath the bridge, I'm presuming. There's got to be a sewer line.
There already is. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Now-
yeah, he didn't think hooking Border up made sense financially. So, it's something maybe this 270,000 will help us understand.
Yeah.
Because the whole reason for this is for Cohasset was to clean up the Gulf, and if a third of it's never going to get hooked up, then we're fighting high tide.
I think what would be worthwhile would be to use some of this money to actually study the source of the pollutants, meaning if if we do this in our Cohasset share there going along South Main Street, what is the pollutants levels? What are the pollutant levels now? And is there a way to track them as it goes down? Like from the Mordecai Lincoln mill that used to be there. If you started there, that water's coming through Situate, but from Cohasset down the brook, and start seeing. And I think the organization, on Border Street there, Parker Avenue, had done a lot of things with students, but I think it would be good to recalculate and see where the bad places are, and that would make a difference on really where you want to put sewer, right? And besides the idea that in Cohasset on Border Street, we probably have, substandard systems that at some point are going to have to be replaced with new septic systems. So anyway, so I think there's some mapping out that should be done to see what our best value is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The other thing, Bill, if you don't mind, I just want to share with the board.
Sure,
as
yeah,
well.
fine. Yep.
Yeah, no, just because we talked about it briefly in another conversation, but when it comes to obviously any type of infrastructure work generates a lot of questions, and as Bill just referenced, so that's why one of the select board goals, and Chris hired Justin Schreier, so that if there is a messaging that your board wants to get information, we can now target residents based on where they live. We can put stuff on websites, videos, 143 TV. So we now have a mechanism to get information out that's way more efficient than it's ever been before. So whatever information you see that needs to be broadcast out and shared, take advantage of Justin as a resource. That's exactly what he's here for. So just to put you all on the same page on that.
Yeah, no, good
Yeah.
point. I'm a guy, I had on my pad here from our earlier conversation, just the talking points, but I think if we as a board, and maybe we do this at our next session, do some homework prior to that and put some talking points together that we can then put out either on our website or on the Cohasset website, just saying, here's what's really going on with South Main Street.
Right.
It's not going to cost you anything, the stuff that just to sort of hose down the people that are, getting themselves all fired up about
Exactly.
anarchy and all that sort of stuff that's about to happen. So, which is not. So, yeah, good point.
And on South Main Street paving, can we consider doing some cold planing on the worst spots, which is usually coming out of Beechwood Street, taking a left to get downtown? That right-hand lane going down is a bad spot. And just putting a you know, a new single 2-inch coat of top mix and just cover those areas that are going to allow us to not have to pave the whole thing for 5 or 10 years. So, and
Yeah, I think that, yeah, well, I guess Brian would be the judge on that, right?
yeah, but some people might say, well, just wasting money, but
Yeah,
their
well.
cost of doing it is almost nothing. You know, you're looking at $10,000 or $20,000, not, you know, $100,000 or $500,000 or something. So, you know, I just think that's an idea. It's something not unlike what they did on Beechwood Street, where they know they're going to tear up Beechwood Street to put in a water main. They didn't have the contractor originally put in a permanent patch, but then had him come back and used a method of heating up the existing asphalt and raking it out and then re-rolling it so that it's a smoother surface than it was. And the gas company paid for that.
Yeah, as always, it's always a question of, you know, what money we use where. If there's a sensation from, you know, I think if there's a sensation from the sewer board that, you know, this is going to take, you know, X number of time, I think let us know that way the board can say, okay, if this is, you know, if we're really looking at 2, 3, 4 years here, then maybe we do want to do, you know, some investments there. If we're looking at 6 or 8 months, maybe not. So if you want to give us, you know, some perspective on that, so that the board can make a decision on, you know, obviously Chapter 90 money is, you know, and what we put into the capital budget, it's very fixed and it's fairly limiting. So we want to be smart about it. But that's a data point that we should certainly consider. That makes sense. Great. Okay.
All right, well, thank you, Corey.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Anybody have anything else?
No,
No?
I'm good.
No, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor, and I'll start. Bill McGowan, aye.
Wayne Sawchuck, aye.
Paul Kearsey, aye.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, everybody. See you in
Bye,
2
sir.
weeks. All right,
You
take
got
care.
it.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.